My name is Eleanor Whitford. I am 62 years old, a widow, and the mother of the groom. I stood beneath crystal chandeliers and gold-trimmed drapery, watching guests raise glasses beneath cascading white roses and soft jazz. It was a wedding fit for royalty, a day my son Andrew had dreamed of, and a celebration I had paid for entirely. $300,000, 28 tables, a cake taller than a grown man. Every detail sparkled with perfection, until the moment the microphone changed everything. Andrew's bride, Malene Cooper, lifted her champagne flute, her diamond bracelet catching the light like a blade. With a bright laugh and too much confidence, she gestured toward me and said the sentence that cut through music like shattered ice. "Here is the old fat pig we all have to tolerate." Laughter rose at her table, not polite, not uncomfortable, loud, full, entertained, as though humiliating me was part of the festivities. I stood in my emerald dress, posture straight, expression calm. The sting burned beneath my ribs, but humiliation did not break me. It awakened something ancient, collected, powerful. And then silence felt like glass hitting marble. Malene's father, Gregory Cooper, froze mid-sip. Color drained from his face. His eyes widened with recognition and dread. "You are Eleanor Whitford," he stammered, "the new chief executive officer of Cooper Holdings." Chairs stopped moving, voices stopped breathing, the laughter evaporated like mist. I smiled just enough to be felt more than seen. "Yes, Gregory, I begin next week. Your board approved it without opposition." Malene's confidence cracked. Her mother shifted nervously. The smirk faded from the bride's lips, replaced by something fragile. Awareness, fear, consequence. I did not defend myself. I did not raise my voice. Revenge does not shout. It waits. It sharpens. The wedding carried on, music swelling back through the hall, but the tone was different. Respect walked in where mockery once stood. Eyes that once mocked me now followed me with caution, curiosity, and something close to regret. They believed they were laughing at a powerless old woman. They had no idea they were laughing at the woman who owned their future. That was the moment everything began. 18 months before the wedding, long before I became the woman who stood unfazed beneath chandeliers and insults, I sat in my quiet living room on a rainy Tuesday evening when the phone rang. Andrew's voice was breathless, bright, overflowing with excitement. "Mom, she said yes. Malene said yes." I closed the spreadsheet open on my laptop and let the moment settle warm inside me. My son was getting married. For 31 years, I had been mother and father to him. I taught him to ride a bike, helped him memorize spelling lists, held him through fevers and heartbreaks. His voice like that, full of joy, could move mountains inside me. "Tell me everything," I said. He did. The candle at dinner, the ring that glittered like a promise he was determined to keep, the moment she cried and whispered forever. I listened, smiling into the curve of my wine glass. But excitement has shadows. They arrived later. A month passed before the second call came. Andrew cleared his throat the way he always did when he needed something expensive. "Mom, weddings are costly. Malene has dreamed of something elegant, like her sister's ceremony at the Beaumont." I asked gently, "How much help are you hoping for?" He hesitated. "Perhaps 200,000, maybe 3?" Silence is often the most honest language in finance. I thought of every night shift I worked after his father died, every scholarship application we filled out together, every dream I wanted for him. And I said yes, not because I was wealthy, not because I was obligated, but because love makes generosity feel like oxygen. You forget it can suffocate you if given without measure. That yes would be the seed of everything that followed, the joy, the betrayal, the awakening, but I could not see it then. On the morning of the wedding, Chicago sunlight spilled across my balcony like gold poured from the sky. I stood before the mirror, fastening a pearl clasp beneath my hair, the same necklace Andrew tugged playfully as a toddler. His father once traced those pearls with reverence before cancer took him at 43. I wore them for memory, not display. At the cathedral, I tied Andrew's bow tie the way I once tied his shoes. "Thank you for everything, Mom," he murmured. His eyes flickered away quick, like guilt or nerves, but I chose joy. Mothers do. The ceremony was flawless. White roses, string quartet, Malene floating down the aisle like winter silk. The applause sounded like thunder softened by love. I cried quietly behind a lace handkerchief. The reception hall sparkled brighter than memory. Staff glided between tables with champagne. Gold flatware gleamed beneath candlelight. I could taste pride like sugar beneath my ribs. I believed I had done something good, something beautiful, until the microphone clicked on. Malene's laugh cut through the music like something sharp. Here is the old fat pig we all have to tolerate. Her friends laughed, her cousins laughed, even Andrew did not speak. I stood still, breath steady, heart steady, and then the shift came, like a second storm in the same sky. Gregory Cooper paled as recognition hollowed his face. The room watched as he approached me with trembling politeness. "Mrs. Whitford," he stuttered, "we did not know you were joining Cooper Holdings as Chief Executive Officer." And there it was, the power they never imagined I carried. Malene's smile cracked like porcelain dropped on tile. Her mother's posture straightened with sudden caution. Their laughter curled into silence, stiff and sour. I lifted my glass and simply said, "I look forward to our future collaboration." Not one word of anger, not one tear shed, but something inside me shifted permanently. Love no longer meant sacrifice without thought. Respect would now have a price. And for the first time, I understood I was done being small so someone else could feel big. Monday morning arrived with the crisp bite of Chicago autumn. I woke before the sun, pulled my hair into a clean twist, and stepped into a charcoal suit that fit like authority. Pearls stayed in their box. Today required steel. At exactly 9 o'clock, I walked through the glass doors of Cooper Holdings headquarters. Staff paused mid-stride, as if air thickened. No one expected the mother of the groom to enter like the woman who now owned the room, yet that was precisely who I was. Gregory Cooper waited in the boardroom, posture rigid, eyes swollen with sleepless apology. "Mrs. Whitford, thank you for meeting with me." His voice wavered under the weight of uncertainty. I sat at the head of the table. "Let's clarify one thing before we begin." I opened a slim leather portfolio and placed documents before him. Stock transfers, voting rights, board approvals, dates signed quietly. Over 15 years of work and patience, the truth landed with the weight of marble. As of last Monday, I hold 51% controlling ownership of Cooper Holdings. Gregory's jaw slackened, his breath stumbled. He looked at the pages again as though numbers might show mercy if read twice. They did not. "Your board invited me here because they wanted growth, fresh leadership, strength." My voice remained even. "You mistook me for a wedding accessory." He swallowed hard. "What do you want?" The question tasted like surrender. "First, employee health benefits will be modernized, full coverage, mental health included, retirement strengthened. Over 300 staff have built this company. They deserve more than scraps." He blinked. "That will cost millions. It will cost less than losing good people. We move forward Thursday. Second, internal salaries tied to family name rather than contribution end immediately. Positions will reflect work, not bloodline." A muscle in his cheek twitched. "You would remove relatives? I would require them to earn their place." Silence stretched like tension wire. Outside the tall windows, traffic pulsed like a heartbeat far below us. The boardroom air felt still enough to crack. "And Andrew?" he asked finally. "Does your son join us?" "Yes, senior analyst, Wednesday start. He will work, he will grow. Marriage does not grant privilege here." Gregory stared at me, fragile between pride and fear, his empire balanced in the hands of the woman he let his daughter humiliate. I rose from my seat, gathering the documents calmly. "Please tell Malene I will expect a sincere apology, not for my pride, but for her character. Accountability shapes people more than comfort ever will." I paused at the door, offered a final quiet truth. You laughed at me once. In time, you may thank me instead. Then I walked out, heels steady against polished stone, done with being underestimated. Power tasted sharp at the edges, like a blade newly honed, but authority alone does not shield the heart. That lesson arrived on a quiet Wednesday evening when Andrew knocked on my door with unease in every line of his shoulders. He sat at my dining table, hands clasped so tightly his knuckles blanched. "Mom, can we talk?" There are questions a mother recognizes before hearing them. Fear has a sound. Shame has one too. Andrew cleared his throat, eyes moving everywhere but to mine. The job offer from Cooper Holdings, the new salary, the fresh start, all sounded like a beginning. Instead, it became the gateway to truth. He reached into his coat pocket and slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside were documents I did not want to see. Bank statements, loan agreements, credit card balances that read like falling dominoes. My signature stared back at me again and again, except it was not my signature. My voice barely found itself. "Andrew, what am I looking at?" His answer arrived brittle and small. "I forged your name." The room shifted. My breath turned slow and cold. He continued, words spilling like confession under church light. He had been fired 6 months earlier for falsifying expenses. Bills grew, lifestyle stretched thin. Maylene's family sparkled with wealth he could not reach, so he borrowed, then borrowed more, not in his own name, in mine. $120,000 across multiple lenders, propped up by the credit of the mother he resented for helping him. I looked at the boy I raised, honest, kind, once full of promise, now a man cracked beneath his own pride. "You told Maylene I controlled you," I said softly, "that I used money to hold on to you." He nodded, tears breaking loose. "I was ashamed to admit I needed you. Pretending you were overbearing made my failure easier to swallow." The truth settled heavy, not sharp like insult, but dense, like grief. I did not shout. Silence held more weight than fury. After a long moment, I spoke clearly, measured like a verdict. "Tomorrow we visit my attorney. You will repay every dollar. You will take responsibility for what you forged." Andrew's voice cracked. "Will you forgive me?" "Forgiveness is not the same as rescue," I replied. "I will no longer save you from consequences. That era has ended." He wept quietly, and I, for the first time in 31 years, did not comfort him. Love does not mean carrying a grown man who has chosen not to stand. He would learn to walk by falling first. Saturday evening arrived with the kind of hush old houses hold, a quiet that listens more than it speaks. I set the table for 3, silver polished, crystal shining, food warm beneath linen covers. If a conversation was going to break the bones of my past, it would do so over dignity, not chaos. Andrew and Maylene arrived on time. He looked hollowed by days without sleep. She looked like a woman standing on sand, watching the tide steal land beneath her feet. We exchanged polite greetings, each word sweet and too thin to hide tension. Dinner began with harmless conversation, weather and work and wedding gifts, but truth does not wait forever. Halfway through the main course, I set my fork down and looked at my son. "Andrew, we need to speak honestly." He swallowed hard. "I know." Maylene's gaze trembled between us like a lantern in wind. "Andrew," I said, "you told your wife I controlled you with money, that I intruded, that I made decisions for you. Tell me, when did my support become a burden?" His voice cracked. "Mom, I never meant—" "No, tonight we mean every word." What followed was the unwrapping of years. He admitted he accepted everything I offered, yet resented that he needed it. He wanted independence, but not responsibility, success without the work, pride without foundation. And when he felt small beside Maylene's wealthy family, he made me the villain to protect his ego. I listened without interruption. When he fell silent, I stood. "You wanted my money, not my presence. You valued what I gave more than who I was, and you called that love." Maylene flinched. Andrew reached toward me, but I stepped back. "Starting now, no more financial support. No loans, no quiet rescues. You will climb out of this with your own hands." He stared, color gone from his face. "Mom, please." "My attorney will draw up repayment terms tomorrow," I continued. 8 years, monthly installments, mandatory financial counseling. Maylene whispered, "This is fair." Andrew looked at her with disbelief, as if he expected her to protect him from accountability the way I once did. I did not shout. Silence held more weight than fury. That night, I stopped being a safety net. I became a wall. He would have to learn to scale on his own. The call came the next afternoon. My phone buzzed with urgency, Maylene's name flashing across the screen like a pulse. When I answered, her voice was wet with panic, trembling in a way no arrogance could mask. "Mrs. Whitford, I've found something. I think you need to see it yourself." An hour later, she stood in my office, hands clutching a folder like it could burn her fingers. Her eyes were red, mascara smeared the way truth smears illusions when it arrives without mercy. "I found loan papers in Andrew's desk," she whispered, "with your signature, only it doesn't match the one on the wedding checks." Her gaze lifted slowly, searching my face for denial and finding none. "He forged her name, didn't he?" "Yes," I said, calm, clear, final. Her breath shook, like something inside her was collapsing. The man she married, he lied about his job, his finances, his independence. He even lied about you. She paced, fingers tangled in her hair. "All this time, I thought you were the problem, that you were controlling, overbearing, unwilling to let him go. But he told me stories that made himself the victim." She stopped walking, met my eyes. "You were never the pig. You were the backbone." The sentence struck something deep and old, not flattery, recognition. I offered her a seat, but she sank to it as if gravity itself had strengthened. Tears came, but not angry ones. Real, human, raw. "I owe you an apology," she said. "Not the polite kind, the real one." She took a breath, voice stripped of pride. "I judged you without knowing you. I believed him because it was easier than questioning who he was. I am sorry for every laugh, every word, every assumption." I nodded once. Acceptance, not indulgence. Maylene stood. "I think I need time to decide what kind of marriage I am actually in. I'm going to stay with my parents for now." I did not beg her to stay, did not tell her to fight. Choices grow stronger when earned, not forced. As she walked out, she looked back only once. "You deserved better than what we gave you." And for the first time since the wedding, the apology felt like truth, not performance. The following week moved like slow thunder across the city skyline. News of restructuring spread through Cooper Holdings. Departments tightened, salaries realigned, nepotism no longer bought titles. People began working like the walls were real again, not padded with privilege. And for the first time in years, the company breathed like something alive. I spent mornings reviewing contracts, afternoons meeting employees who looked surprised to be heard, and evenings sitting beside the window watching Chicago glow like a furnace of possibility. Power did not feel like victory. It felt like clarity. Andrew made his first repayment transfer, small, but his. He began counseling Monday. He did not ask for help. He showed up on time, one step at a time. Accountability replaced excuses. I loved him still. Love does not vanish. It matures like steel tempered by flame. Maylene called once more, brief, honest. "I'm learning who I married. I'm learning who I want to be." She was no longer the girl who needed to stand above someone to feel tall. Pain had carved space for depth. Growth rarely arrives wrapped in comfort. Some evenings I remembered the wedding hall, the laughter, the pearl necklace, the insult that lit a fuse I never knew existed. Strange how a moment meant to belittle can instead ignite transformation. They called me a pig to make me small, but I became something else instead. Not furious, not spiteful, not vindictive, unapologetically awake. I will not return to silence. I will not water myself down for acceptance. I will not be the mother who pays to be tolerated. We teach people how to treat us, and sometimes we must relearn how to treat ourselves. If you are listening to this, if you have been mocked, dismissed, or reduced, remember, worth does not require permission. Respect begins with boundaries, and the most powerful revenge is growth they cannot stop. Thank you for hearing my story. If it touched something in you, leave a comment, share your voice, like and share so more stories find a light. Your dignity is non-negotiable. Never let anyone laugh you out of knowing that.